Call the meeting to order for March 10th, 2025 for the Cascade Charter Township Planning Commission meeting, special meeting. Article 2, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Article 3, do I have a motion to approve the current agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Article 4, disclose any conflict of interest.
None.
Nobody has any conflict of interest, okay. Article 5, approve the minutes for January 20th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Um,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Article 6, acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak. We don't have anybody in the audience. Anybody online? Okay. Article 7, set public hearing for 1701 Spalding zoning map amendment.
So let me quick set the table for some of our new planning commissioners. This was a item that is one of our almost 100 planned unit developments in Cascade Charter Township. It's actually numbered PUD 97. So the address for this PUD is 1701 Spalding. We heard this application this fall. I think it was November. This came to the Planning Commission for a planned unit development amendment. And in the staff report, it kind of lays out how after we started looking at this application, we realized that many elements of the original planned unit development adopted in 2017 were never fulfilled by the developer. Therefore, the application for an amendment at that point was rejected. And I asked our legal counsel for an opinion on how we go about rectifying the situation that we had a planned unit development that was approved. The developer didn't move through and actually fulfill their role. And now we're in a situation where the zoning is kind of in limbo. It's a planned unit development, but the standards of a planned unit development don't meet that, aren't in effect. Therefore, we brought this to the board, decided, I hope that everyone was able to see the legal opinion in your email. It's confidential, so for anyone listening, it's not included in your packet. But we found that the best way to do this was just to handle the rezoning of the property back to the original zoning in the same way that any rezoning would happen. So we brought this to the board on February 26th. The board recommended, and I think I've talked to all the planning commissioners here, but for anyone that's kind of unfamiliar with the Zoning Enabling Act, you either have a applicant that would be the township would initiate a zoning amendment, or a stakeholder in that piece of property can also initiate a rezoning. This would be a township initiated rezoning by resolution. They asked that the Planning Commission review this and hold a public hearing for rezoning this back to its original zoning of agricultural rural conservation. I did have a conversation with the previous applicant who has at this point pulled out of the project. I was not able to get a hold of the property owner yet, but we will be noticing them through the legal means, and I still also will just be trying to get a hold of them again to let them know this is the process that we're moving down. The schedule will be, I would ask that the Planning Commission consider setting a public hearing for April 7th. That would give us
Is that enough time?
Yep, that would give us time. We have the public notice already drafted, and we'll be sending that public notice out the end of this week, which will give adequate time for this to be noticed to the public. We'll have this on our April 7 meeting, assuming that we hear, that this is the right move. The Planning Commission will make a recommendation to rezone this, or a recommendation to not rezone this, whatever your preference would be. I imagine, though, given the facts, the Planning Commission would likely make a positive recommendation to the board. To rezone this, it would, a resolution would be introduced later in April and then likely adopted in May to bring this back to the original zoning and set us in a place where we have, clean zoning and a fresh start, a fresh slate for this property. There's also some concern about the current condition. I have been in conversation with our township engineer about potentially going out there and figuring out the best path forward to make sure that any sediment that has been destroyed is restored. And we want to make sure that that site isn't negatively impacting anyone else. That at that point, as I said, it's a 32-acre agricultural rural conservation parcel that anyone could come to the table and have a clear path to development. Planning Commission have any other questions for me?
I don't have any questions. I know that in our conversations, we've talked about extending the radius for notification from 300 feet to 900 feet. So I'd like that to definitely be in.
Yeah.
And
Well, thankfully, we have a really active neighborhood association.
Good,
I've
that was
already
my other,
told.
yes, if you have contacts within that neighborhood organization that were here, please reach out to them.
Yeah.
So that they know of it as well.
So she actually had already reached out to me, so I've
Good.
already
Good,
let her know about the meeting. She has the schedule.
good. Okay.
Continue to do the neighborhood.
Does anybody have any discussion or anything they wanna?
We're doing setting a date.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
I've walked that thing, so I know what it's like.
so then do you need a motion for us to do that?
Yep, just a motion to make a recommendation or to set a public hearing for April 7th for a reason.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing date for April 7th for the 1701 Spalding zoning map amendment.
I'll second that one.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing is set. All right, so Article 8, acknowledge any visitors or those wishing to speak. None, okay. Article 9, other business. MSU extension training.
We actually just missed the one for last week. So in the end of this packet, I did put in there a flyer for some Robert's Rules parliamentary procedure training that's online that we can sign you up for. So any planning commissioners that are interested, you throw an email out to me or Nick and we'll get you signed up. There's 3 different times. The March one, I think, was last week. And then there's 2 other times that those are available. I think parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules are important for your meeting. It helps, for the meetings to flow well and for everybody to be heard. We also are, been talking with chair, vice chair. We're also going to have our legal team come in and do like some nice little 10-20 minute mini series learning sessions for some of the issues that planning commissions deal with on a regular basis. So it's not a huge commitment, but you're kind of getting a dose of helpful content when time allows for anything.
One thing I've noticed just in one of the lawsuits that befelled the Cascade Township is some of the comments that we make, and I am just as guilty as most, right, can come back to bite us, So I think we just need to be careful.
I know, it's unfortunate because our meetings are public and
Right.
we have to deliberate publicly.
Right.
And talk through things, but it is very hard to just make sure before you say something that it's really hard for me too when there's nobody here. Like in previous planning commission meetings, it's like when you have a full house, it's really easy to remember that, but everything's recorded and anybody can listen to it at any time. So you should really talk like it is a full room all the time.
Yeah.
And I think
So.
that makes it hard.
The comment was made, we were inconsistent, or we just approved something like this, and so that was brought up by.
Or you make a statement, they think you're saying yes under your breath type thing.
I mean, and I am probably more guilty than most, so I will try to do better, but I just.
And I
Just
think,
be careful.
yeah, and on that note, I think the other thing is just making sure when we deny something, that our reasons are clear. And I think,
Yep.
you know, Andrea will make sure that our packets are laid out where if we choose to deny something, it'll be there. If we choose to approve it, it'll be there so that we make sure we cover everything that we
Yeah.
need to be saying.
Yeah, to that point, if you don't mind me speaking, to that point, even in the minutes from our January meeting, you'll see that, you know, we made sure to say your points towards denying, like Treasurer Corson expressed that the structure as presented appears to be more compatible in scale and aesthetics. And, you know, just kind of mentioning those elements, you guys talked about them in your conversation, but we didn't put them into the motion for denial. So we made sure to make sure
Yeah.
those were very clearly articulated in our minutes, because it was said, even though it wasn't part of the motion, but the easiest way to have competent material and substantial evidence for decisions, which is like the standard of, you know, did we do our job? You know, the reasoning doesn't always have to be, a judge doesn't have to agree with us.
Right.
But they do have to be able to look at something and say, did the deciding body in their motion and in their minutes express their reasoning for why they denied this, and does it go along with the standards that they have in their ordinance? So that, you know, is an important factor that I think that we could easily find in your denial from the January meeting, and made sure that that your statements were, you know, verbatim put into our minutes, so that it was in the record.
Right.
And that's what a judge will look for in determining if you're making sound decisions.
Does anybody have anything else? Any other business, anything else they want to bring up or discuss?
Not for me.
All right, Article 10, motion to adjourn.
All right. That was-